We got cut off, so we'll go part 2 of chapter 1, section 3 from Matthew Henry. 1. Concerning the burnt offerings of the flock, the method of managing these is much the same that the bullocks, only it is ordered that here that the sacrifice should be killed on the side of the altar northward, which, though mentioned here only, was probably to be observed concerning the former and other sacrifices. Perhaps on the side of the altar there was the largest vacant space and room for the priests to turn them in. It was of old observation that fair weather comes out of the north, and that the north wind drives away rain, and by these sacrifices the storm of God's wrath are scattered, and the light of God's countenance is obtained, which is more pleasant than the brightest, fairest weather. Concerning those of the vows, they must be either turtle doves, and if so, they must be old turtles, says the Jews, or pigeons, and if so, they must be young pigeons. What is most acceptable at the men's table must be brought to God's altar in the offering of these fowls. The head must be wrung off, quite off. Some say, others think only pinched, so as to kill the bird, and yet leave the head hanging on the body. But it seems more likely that it was to be quite separated, for it was to be burnt first. The blood was to be wrung out of the side of the altar. The garbage with the feathers were to be thrown up upon the dunghill. The body was to be opened, sprinkled with salt, and then burnt upon the altar. Just a minute, yep. The sacrifice of birds, the Jew says, was one of the most difficult services the priest had to do. To teach those that minister in holy things to be as solicitous for the salvation of the poor as for the rich, and that the service of the poor are as acceptable to God if they come from an upright heart as the services of the rich. For he accepts according to what a man hath, and not according to what he hath not. 2 Corinthians 8:12. The poor man's turtle dove or young pigeon are here said to be that of an ox, are here said to be an offering of a sweet-smelling savor, as much as that of an ox or bullock that hath horns or hoofs. Yet after all, to love God with all of our heart, and to love our neighbor as ourselves, is better than all burnt offerings and sacrifices. Mark 12:33. Yes, you may have some more of those. Can you say goodbye?
Goodbye. Bye.